When the pain got bad, really bad, the only thing that pulled him out of bed was knowing she'd be waiting. Every step to the fence post was a negotiation with his own body. She was already there, sandy coat, amber eyes, waiting as she had every clear dawn for 6 years.
She's still waiting.
He leaned on the weathered wood, coffee forgotten, the weight of the morning lifting. His knuckles were white against the post, but he matched her stillness. She didn't blink, never had, so long as he kept his distance. They faced the rising sun, 20 feet apart, a ritual carved into bone. The return walk was always harder, but he refused to look back. Inside, he winced as he peeled off his coat, the pain settling deep. But he'd be there tomorrow. But that morning, the pain lingered. He sank onto the porch rocker and let the feeling finish naturally. The farm had gone silent after Eleanor passed, a house that no longer needed anyone. Then, one frozen dawn, he saw her, a young bobcat sitting on the fence post, small as a house cat, as if she'd always been there.
Where'd you come from, little one?
She didn't run, just blinked slowly and tucked her paws, watching. He started talking to her about the weather, the broken hinge, how the coffee tasted bitter that morning. She'd watch, ears flicking as if he were a puzzle she intended to solve. Even then, he understood. What they had was built on distance. 6 years later, he still hadn't broken that rule.
And I never will.
That first year, the dawn walk became the only thing that made sense. He'd go, rain or shine, just to see if she'd be there. At first, she'd bolt as soon as his shadow crossed the yard, a flash of fur disappearing into the tree line. But he never chased. He'd stop at the old post, hands wrapped around his coffee, and wait.
You are learning I am not a threat, aren't you?
By spring, she'd stay, perched on her post like a statue, amber eyes tracking his every move.
Morning, little one. Still just you and me against the quiet.
He'd tell her about Eleanor sometimes, how she'd loved the way frost clung to the fence wires. She never answered, but the silence between them felt less empty than the house.
20 feet. That's the promise.
He didn't know what he'd do if she stopped coming, so he made sure he never gave her a reason to. A bitter February morning, the post stood empty. William waited, breath clouding, the cold sinking into his bones. Her tracks cut through the fresh snow, small and urgent, leading toward the far tree line. Fear settled deep. She'd never missed a dawn. He followed the prints, heart hammering. He found a thicket of briars, a dark hollow within, and the sound, faint mewling. Through the thorns, he glimpsed her, curled around 3 tiny, squirming newborns, eyes warning him back.
You are a mother.
He backed away, each step a promise. This secret wasn't his to share. The next morning, she was back on the post, amber eyes steady. The world had simply turned, but William now carried a new understanding. The ritual held more than loneliness. He never told a soul. Some things are meant to stay wild. A rumor moves through small towns like wind through a wheat field. And one afternoon, it brought a stranger up William's gravel drive.
Mr. Hartley, I am Sarah Turner. I am a writer. I've heard about the Bobcat.
Ain't much to tell. A wild cat sits on a post. That's the whole story.
My editor thinks it's a different kind of story. One about patience. I'd really just like to watch if you'd let me.
Why? So you can write it up and bring a dozen people out here.
Number. I'd never print a word you haven't approved. I need to see it. Something real.
Sunrise. You sit on the porch, not a step further, and that recorder stays in your pocket.
She clicked off the recorder without looking at it, her eyes already on the fence line.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. I won't make you regret this.
I hope not. She might not even come. Not with a stranger here.
The next dawn came heavy and gray. William walked to the post alone, Sarah a silent shadow on the porch. The bobcat emerged from the tree line, but she didn't come closer. her entire body tensed. A gust swirled, carrying the stranger's scent. The bobcat's lips peeled back, and she hissed, a raw, scraping warning. William shot out his hand, palm raised. Too late. She bolted, a streak of fur swallowed by the mist. He turned, and the look on his face was a wound, raw and bleeding anger.
You see? That's what your article cost. 6 years of trust, gone.
I am so sorry. I didn't think.
No, you didn't think. You just wanted your story. Well, here it is. A stupid old man and an empty post.
I'll go. I'll leave right now.
He didn't answer. He just stood there, the post bare, the silence louder than any goodbye. Sarah didn't leave right away. She studied the old man, the grief carved so deep she almost missed the story beneath.
Mr. Hartley, I need to understand. Why does meeting a wild cat matter this much?
She showed up. When no one else did. After my Eleanor passed, this house just swallowed me.
He sank onto the porch rocker, the photograph in his pocket burning against his chest.
For 6 years, she waited at that post. She never needed words. She just stayed.
Sarah reached down and pressed stop on the recorder without a word.
You can write the story, but not the place, not the name.
You won't. I swear. I'll tell it like a legend. No map, nothing that leads back here.
She left him sitting there, the photograph of Eleanor on the arm of the rocker, the field empty.
Come back, please. I'll be there. Same post.
The next dawn, the post was empty. William stood alone, the cold eating through his coat like hunger. He gripped the post to keep from shaking. The arthritis had spread like rust through his joints. 3 days. 3 mornings of waiting that felt like the world forgetting its only promise.
Maybe that's it. Maybe trust can be broken like anything else.
But his body pushed him up anyway. The ritual now a wound he couldn't stop picking. On the 4th morning, he nearly stepped on it. A fresh track pressed into the mud beside the post. She'd come back, but she hadn't stayed. Testing the air, the memory of a stranger's scent.
You're still watching. Good. So am I.
He left his cane against the post that day. A sign. He wasn't going anywhere. The track was more than a mark. It was a thread, and William held on with everything he had left. A cold rain began to needle down, turning the path to mud. William's boots slid, and for a sickening heartbeat, the world tilted. He caught himself on the post, pain searing through his wrists, and hung there, gasping. When he looked up, she was there, a pale shape at the distant tree line, motionless as a stone.
There you are.
She didn't approach, just stood, rain plastering her fur, amber eyes fixed on the man who hadn't given up.
I ain't leaving. Same post, every clear morning. You know where to find me.
For a long moment, the only sound was rain on wet grass. Then she blinked, slow and deliberate, and turned away.
Not gone, just careful. That's okay.
He stayed until the rain soaked through his coat. The thread between them frayed but still holding. The walk back was harder than ever. But this time, he carried something worth the pain. The cold came harder. William's legs buckled before he reached the post, and the snow rushed up to meet him. He lay in the drift, 20 feet from the post, pain locking every joint. The world a white blur. Then, movement. The bobcat emerged from the tree line, ears forward, assessing the motionless shape in the snow. She crossed the 20-foot line. One slow step, then another. William held his breath. She stopped, 10 feet away, amber eyes fixed on his. The wind died.
She's never come this close. She's checking on me.
In that moment, the distance was no longer a rule. It was a choice, held in a single look. He rolled onto his knees, pain searing, and began to crawl. She didn't move. He whispered a thanks into the snow. She blinked, slow and steady. At the porch, he looked back. She was gone, but the snow held her prints, 10 feet from his. A neighbor had called. By noon, Finch's truck crunched up the drive. He found his father on the porch, bruised and pale.
I am fine, Finch. Just a little slip. I don't need a lecture.
But Finch saw the raw scrapes, the tremor in his father's hands, and the words finally spilled out.
She came closer than ever. She saw me down and she waited. I can't just leave.
Something in the story shifted Finch's face. Not acceptance, but a crack of understanding.
This isn't just my home. It's hers too. The post is all I got left. You can't take that.
Finch helped him inside. Arguments stalled. He left a cane by the door and promised to check on him.
He thinks a cane will fix this, but it's the post that keeps me standing.
That evening, he sat on the porch, rubbing his knees, the silent field a promise he meant to keep. The fall had frightened him, but the Bobcat's step had anchored him deeper than any pain could shake. A thick envelope arrived with no return address. Inside, a developer's final offer. Enough money to live out his remaining years in comfort. But the offer came with a map. A red line cutting straight through the fence line. A road that would pave over the post and the field beyond.
They want to bury those 20 feet under asphalt. That's her whole world.
His neighbors had already sold. The farm was barely breaking even, and the money would erase every worry.
Sell, and she'd vanish from this field inside a year. I know that, but if I don't, what am I leaving Finch? Just a pile of bills and a story.
He sat at the kitchen table, the letters spread before him, the coffee growing cold in his hands.
Number. The post isn't for sale. She trusted me. I won't be the one to break that.
He folded the offer into a tight square and pressed it deep into the trash, as if burying a lie. The decision was made. He didn't know how he'd stop them, only that he would. 2 mornings later, William woke unable to move his legs. The arthritis had slammed the door shut.
The post. She'll be waiting. I can't just not show up. Finch, I need you to do something. Put a bowl of food at the fence post before sunrise. Don't ask why.
Finch brought the bowl, feeling foolish, and placed it at the base of the post. The first day, the bowl was untouched. The second, same. William felt the thread unraveling. On the 3rd morning, Finch lingered back. A shadow slipped from the tree line. The Bobcat, cautious but hungry, she crept to the bowl, ate quickly, then looked toward the house for a long moment before vanishing.
She came. She knows something's wrong, but she came.
Finch returned, describing the Bobcat's audacious visit. William's eyes glistened, the ritual a bridge even through a son's hands.
A few more days, then I'll be back at that post. I swear it.
5 days later, William swung his legs out of bed. The pain was a furnace, but he reached for the walker Finch had left. The walker's rattle was a foreign noise across the morning stillness. He prayed it wouldn't send her bolting. She was already on the post. At the sound, her tail twitched, but she held her ground.
She hears it. She's listening. Stay, please.
He reached the post, gasping, and sank onto a simple bench Finch had wedged into the grass a few feet away.
There. Now I am just an old man with a walker, but I am still here.
She blinked, slow as a shutter, then turned her amber eyes to the rising sun.
20 feet, more like 15 now. But the rule holds.
The sun climbed, and for the first time in weeks, the day began as it was meant to. He knew this couldn't last forever, but today, the walker was just another fence post between them. Spring thawed the ground, but the post stayed empty. William hobbled out each morning, watching the tree line, the silence pressing in.
5 days. Longer than she's ever been gone in springtime.
He checked the mud for tracks, but there were none. The old fear crept back, sharper than the arthritis.
She vanished like this once before, but that time She came back with secret eyes.
The thought settled like warm honey. She was a mother again, hidden in some thicket, tending newborns only she knew. So he filled a small bowl with water and set it at the post. A quiet offering.
You've got bigger things to mind. I'll be here when you are ready.
He sat on the bench until the sun burned the mist away. A vigil without weight.
Maybe that's what trust is. Not showing up on time, but knowing the door is always open.
The next morning the bowl was dry, and a single paw print marked the mud beside it. 3 mornings later, the bobcat stepped from the tree line, and this time, a smaller shadow followed at her heels. A cub, no bigger than a house cat, wobbling on unsteady paws, eyes wide as moons.
She brought her baby. She's showing me.
She led the cub toward the post, stopping exactly where the distance had always been, 20 feet. The cub pressed against her flank, peering around her leg, a tiny furred question mark. He didn't move, didn't speak, just let the morning hold the moment.
Hey there, little one. I am the man who keeps your mama company.
The mother watched William, amber eyes calm, then turned to nose the cub gently.
After 6 years, this is what trust looks like. Not a touch, but an introduction.
The ritual now held 3, and though the cub wouldn't climb the post that morning, the gift had been given. Each dawn, the cub grew bolder. It watched the mother leap onto the post with a curious tilt of its head. On a morning when the light was honey gold, the cub made its move toward the post. It scrambled up the wood, claws scratching, and perched unsteadily on the next post over.
There it is. The next generation, right on time.
William stood slowly, leaning on his cane, and looked at the 3 posts now occupied.
We're a regular congregation now. 3 souls and a sunrise.
A tear slipped down his weathered cheek, but he didn't wipe it away.
Eleanor, I wish you could see this. She brought her young one.
The mother blinked slowly at him, then at her cub. A silent acknowledgement. For the first time, the ritual held more than 2. It held a future. As summer deepened, the old pain sank deeper into William's bones, a slow, familiar tide.
Can't keep pretending this body will hold. Time to put it in writing.
Finch, the land must never be sold. The bobcat will need food at the post, same as always. Leave water, too. She'll come.
That's enough. He'll understand.
He sealed the envelope, wrote Finch on the front, and set it against the sugar bowl. The next morning, William rose before the sun, his body a map of pain.
One more sunrise. That's all I need.
He shuffled out with his walker, the letter waiting on the table like a quiet sentinel. The post held him as it always had, but today, he wasn't just leaning, he was saying goodbye.
Thank you, little one, for all of it.
As the sun crested the trees, she stepped into the field with the cub at her side, padding toward the post. They climbed onto their posts, 3 silhouettes against the golden dawn.
There you are, right on time, as always. One last sunrise, one last quiet with you. Thank you for every morning, for trusting me, for bringing this little one into our world.
She blinked, slow and deliberate, a cat's final word of trust. He turned and started the slow walk back, not looking behind, the walker marking the path for the last time. That evening, he placed the letter under the sugar bowl and climbed into bed, the house dark and peaceful. William Hartley passed in his sleep, a faint smile on his lips, as if the sunrise still held him. On the kitchen table, the letter waited, his final words a quiet covenant with the land he loved. Finch found his father the next morning, the letter propped against the lamp, the sunrise slipping through the window. Every word was a post, hammered into the future. He sat on the porch that evening, the letter folded in his pocket, the field stretching out in the dusk. The next dawn, he walked to the post, carrying a bowl of water the way his father had taught him. She was already there, on her post, alone. She didn't flee. She looked at him, then past him, toward the house, as if searching. For a long moment, the three of them, man, cat, and memory, filled the morning. Then she slipped off the post and vanished into the tree line, not looking back. The ritual had ended, but the post still stood, and he left the water, knowing it might be the last thing his father ever asked of him. Months passed. The farm stayed, the field untamed, a promise kept in soil and silence. One spring morning, the post held more than memory. A single paw print was pressed into the wood, fresh, deliberate, as if she had signed her name in the grain. She had come, not for a man, but for the marker of their years. Soon, a bowl of water appeared at the base. Placed by steady hands, the post didn't judge. It had witnessed 6 years of patience, and it would wait for whatever came next. Somewhere in the tree line, amber eyes might have watched, but they needed no witness. The ritual had ended, but the bond was written into the land. Every morning the water bowl was empty, and the post stood firm. Not a touch, not a word, just a wild, enduring trust. The story of the farmer and the bobcat didn't fade. It grew quieter, the way true things do. Post still marks the field, weather-worn and waiting. Some locals say if you go at dawn on a clear morning, you might see her, not waiting for anyone, just there, watching the sunrise the way she always did. The paw print on the post remains, a ghost of a bond that never needed words. 20 feet of wild grass and 6 years of patience. That's all it was. And maybe that's the whole story. An old man and a wild cat, reminding us that some distances aren't meant to be closed. They're just witnesses, and if you look closely, the post still holds her name, and the sun keeps rising, just like it always did.